One second. Happy 4th of July. No, that's not right. Happy episode 200 of Dylan Knows. And I got my one viewer. I bet I know who that is. Mr. Scott Troutman, my longtime viewer of all time, my best viewer. So thank you, Scott, for watching all 200 episodes. I know you probably haven't, since I don't think I knew you 4 years ago. But still, hey, it's cool you're watching now. That's all that matters. But I'm hoping to get more people in here. But this is a very big, exciting thing for myself personally. I guess hitting 100 was a bit more exciting. That was a couple of years ago. But 200 is still a big deal. It's a nice round number. So what are we doing today? Oh, my God. It's unbelievable. I got Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr., Felicia Day, the cast of Stranger Things. No, I don't have any of those. Okay, so what else do I have? Oh, I have Snarkhouse. I got Tony Solo and Kelly Toole and Mike Blinsky. No, I don't have them either. I just have me. Hey, what doesn't matter, though. I do got my golden raspberry Bing, though, for a special event like this. And the Star Stripes Forever and my shirt and my name, basically, that I have to give credit to my friend Gary. He suggested to me when we were discussing a few things about what we're going to do on the show. And hey, I got a second viewer. Yay. Hello, wherever you are. He thought, the last time we had like a bicentennial thing was 1976. I was 3 years old. That was when America was 200 years old, and bicentennial was a big thing back in 76. I can recall through pictures, not physically, but pictures at my mom's house. The big ships came to Baltimore Harbor, so we came and saw those. My mom, I guess, made a giant poster that said "Happy Birthday, America" and put it on the side of our house. And she also, at that time, she was a quilter, so she was quilting an American type of quilt thing, bicentennial type of thing, quilt thing. And I think she won. She put in a competition. She won an award for it, so that was really cool. But I honestly, 3 years old, I don't remember jack about the bicentennial. But from what I recall from pictures, I see the pictures. It's like, oh, I kind of remember that. But that could just be, well, there I am. So obviously I was there. So I don't know. But yes, so 200 episodes. When I started this way back in 2013, yeah, I never thought I would amount to 200 episodes. 200 episodes, just saying it is fascinating. Now, when I did my 100th episode, or was my 150th? No, it was my 100th. For my 100th episode, I actually did try to get Felicia Day to come on because she has always been known to be the type of person who likes to help out struggling YouTubers and does their shows and stuff like that. So it was right around the time when her autobiography came out, so what I was going to twist it as is I sent a letter to her, not manager, but the person who sets up her appearances, and said, hey, I have a small podcast. It wasn't really a podcast. I have a YouTube show. I'd be happy to give her free publicity for her book. It wouldn't cost her anything. Just would have to ask her a few questions, and would she mind being on it? It's my 100th episode. And they sent me back a really nice letter, which I still have in my email. A nice email back. They said, well, we're sorry. It's really congratulations on your milestone or whatever, but unfortunately, Miss Day is going to be busy through the rest of the year. Actually, I shouldn't say year, but for the time being. So, I understand, and they were very cordial about it. They weren't like, fuck you. They were very cordial about it. They were very nice. They answered me, which, a lot of times you don't expect. So that was cool. But what I ended up doing for my 100th episode was, it was supposed to be the beginning of a 7-part series of me and Karen Darula taking a look at the Harry Potter books and movies and discussing them. But Karen's schedule was kind of all out of whack, and we ended up only doing 4 of the Harry Potter things. We never finished the last 3. Am I ever going to get back to that? Probably not, because Karen sort of disappeared off the face of the earth. I don't see her that much on Twitter anymore, Facebook. Her show, the comic hangout is no longer exists. So that's okay. I may revisit it at a future time with a new co-host. I don't know. Speaking of co-hosts, let me give you an update. This is now entering a month and a half without my co-hosts. But both Jerry and MJ had a lot of major events happen over the last 2 months to them, and plus timing with summer and all that stuff didn't quite work out. So I'm going to finish the month of July by myself. Maybe have a special guest next week. I'll get to that in a second. And then in August, I'm going to take, I think I'm going to take that weekend off because I'm going to probably run 2 episodes next week, and I'll tell you why in a second. But I'm going to take my vacation because I'm actually going on vacation this year, going down to the Outer Banks. And when you try to access, I mean, even though they have Wi-Fi, it's very weak. And we've tried to do video from the beach. I mean, Dawn tried to do it once, and it kept cutting out on us. And we were able to get through the episode of Snarkalic Radio, or she was, rather. I wasn't involved because I didn't think it was going to work. But we were able to get through. She was able to get through for a while, but she was cutting out, and she couldn't hear a lot of stuff. And because it was, you know, it's down at the beach, it's unpredictable what the Wi-Fi situation is going to be, because you don't have a lot of Wi-Fi towers in a resort town like that, because it's not like the Outer Banks is not like your ocean cities, you know, where, you know, it's packed to the gills with hotels and boardwalks and bars and dance areas and miniature golf stuff. No, it's mostly houses and stuff with the occasional shopping area here and there. You know, they're building up a little bit to try to get more information, get to be more interesting to people to come down, but they don't have the towers for the Wi-Fi, so it's not very strong Wi-Fi. I mean, I discovered that it took forever to like charge my phone also if I was running something. It was a nightmare. It just took forever to charge, and it's weak, and it goes, you know, the battery gets drained quicker. That's what it sounds like. Dawn was listening to something. I don't know if she's watching my show. She never watches my show, so it's okay. That's distracting, though. It's all right. So I'll be taking the first weekend of August off, which normally would be our comic book show, but I'm going to talk to MJ in the next couple of days or so and see if we can do the next weekend for our comic show, try to get back on some sort of schedule. And then I'm going to talk to Jerry about getting the week after that back on schedule with our long-awaited 1992 films from 1992, which is 25 years ago, top 10. So we're going to slowly get back to it in August to try to get back to co-hosts and maybe try to get a few more things in here. Mike Belinsky has suggested teaming up with me again for another episode. We might do some Twin Peaks talk, which I've been wanting to do for a while because I am thoroughly enjoying the new version of Twin Peaks. They're on episode 11 tomorrow, and I am enjoying the series like crazy. So I want to talk about that as well. But we're not going to talk about any of that stuff today. We got some interesting stuff coming up. Lots of people died this week. Famous people died this week. So we're going to talk about that. A couple weeks ago, I talked about Pokemon Go. Well, there was a major event today that sort of fell on their face. So we're going to talk about that also. There's a shockwave hit the sci-fi community when a female Doctor Who is coming. Oh, no! Please. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk about San Diego Comic-Con. We had some people from there. And I really wish I would have I would have known. If I would have known that my 200th episode would be the week of San Diego, maybe I could have worked out some magic to maybe go live from San Diego. How cool would that be? But I failed horribly. So let's take a plot for around what 300 is going to be and think about that. Let's think about 100 is probably around August, because the way I look at it is 52 episodes is 1 year. So 52 is 1 year, 104 is 2 years. And September is when I started the show. So if 104 is in September, my 100th episode was sometime in August. And now my 200th episode is sometime in July. Now, does that mean my 300th? If I get that far, it's still 100 away, Dylan. You're pushing it a little bit, but I think I can do it. 300th episode might be June then. Be 2 years in June, but 2019. June 2019. I will be, 46 years old. Damn. If this still is running in about 2 years. So that would be about right. Unfortunately, there's no San Diego, so maybe around my birthday. That'd be kind of cool. Maybe by then I'll have 1 million viewers, and everybody want to be on my show. Yeah, right. Maybe I'll have Scott Troutman on the show by then. Hey, invitation's open, buddy. You've been watching this pretty steadily. You ever want to come on? Yeah, definitely. So let's see what else. Pokemon. And since San Diego happened, this is currently happening. It ends tomorrow. There's been a ton of trailers released and news and information, but mostly trailers. There's, at last count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that I can see that I want to talk about a little bit. Talk a little about science, a little about current events, and a little about something bad that happened this week with the Snark Alex, and talk about some food. Yeah, food. So with that, here's to episode 200, and thanks for watching. I'm just kidding. We're just getting started. All right. Let's talk about probably the oldest news, because it's the first thing on my list, the female Doctor Who. We got a female Doctor Who. Congratulations. I forget the actress's name. God, I'm so prepared, aren't I? Just be easy. Just got to type in female Doctor Who, and guess what? Boom, it'll come up. Female Doctor. Yeah, there it is. Female Doctor Who. It is Jodie Whittaker. So congratulations to Jodie Whittaker for becoming the 14th Doctor. And I saw the trailer that introduced her. And you know what? I might have to start watching it again. Now, here's the thing with Doctor Who and me. And here's another thing also. I want to set up an episode down the line, maybe in the fall, with Bronwyn, my former co-host of Dylan Knows International, and Tony Solo, the godfather, grandfather, big boss of the Snark Alex, and maybe anyone else who might be interested. Jen Hallmeyer, whose birthday is today. Happy birthday, Jen. Or anyone else who might be interested in a Doctor Who discussion. I think maybe I can get a big roundtable Doctor Who discussion on an episode sometime this fall, and we can delve into this a little bit more. But I didn't know anything about Doctor Who as of 2013. I knew of Doctor Who, but I had never really watched any of it because it really didn't interest me that much. But being a member of the Snark Alex, a lot of the members of the Snark Alex were fans of Doctor Who, and they were always talking about it, and I was hearing about it. And I was like, okay, now maybe I should do a show about it. This is early on in my career. It's around 13. Episode 13. That was so long ago. I'm at 200, baby. Let's see if I can say 200 times. So anyone keep track so far of how many times I said 200? No? Oh, well. 200. Hashtag Dylan Knows 200. But back on around episode 13, which is in my playlist. If you go to my YouTube page, type in the search engine for Dylan Lang. I should be the first or second one that pops up. It'll be me in a black shirt going, hey! And there's a playlist that has every single one of my Dylan Knows episodes. Look for episode 13. It's my first Doctor Who one. I did another one like a year or two later, which was just as interesting. So that episode, I didn't know anything about Doctor Who, so I got Jen Hallmeyer and Bronwyn and I almost got Alan Sizzler Kistler to do it, which would have been a coup for me, episode 13 and all that. And he was actually on for a second. We were prepping, but it was the end of December, and he had laryngitis and had a bad cold. And I said, dude, I appreciate you coming on. That's fantastic of you to do for this little dinky podcast I literally just started, YouTube show that I just started. And he jumped off, and I haven't talked to him since. Never returns my phone calls. So he could have been on this show too. No, actually, I haven't contacted him in a while. Maybe I should. And a bunch of those people I mentioned before, maybe I should contact them too. I'd love, particularly, as I said, Felicia Day, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Freddie Prinze Jr. all be good people on the shows. So they came on and they talked to me about Doctor Who. I asked them a bunch of questions about it, and they answered them, and it got me interested enough so that in 2014 I started watching with the Ninth Doctor, and Dawn and I both got into it, really into it for a while, and we watched all the episodes of 9, and then the first 2 seasons of 10, and then something made us stop. We'd got the first like 2 or 3, first like four episodes of season 3 of 10, which would have been season 4. And of Doctor Who, and we just stopped. I don't know. I don't remember why or what happened. We just stopped, and we hadn't watched it since. So that was where we last ended. And then after gradually, as things Matt Smith took over and Peter Capaldi now, and now we've got I just forgot her name again. I literally just said it. Whittaker. Jodie Whittaker. I'm going to write her name down, so if I have to refer back to it again, I'll remember. Jodie Whittaker. So I haven't been watching Doctor Who. I've been following it, and I've been reading some of the Wikipedia episode descriptions. I've been following the stories and stuff like that, so I kind of know what's going on. So I know that it's going to start with a brand new slate, new showrunner, new doctor, and that alone, and a female one, that alone is going to make it almost impossible for me to say, you know what, I'm just going to ignore it. I think it'll be a very good, like, light reboot almost, to get more people to watch the show, and maybe even get my daughter involved, because my daughter's getting to that age. She's going to be 11 in December, where she needs to start having, she's got a strong female role model in Dawn, and her grandparents and all that. She's got some strong, but it's nice to see other role models outside of family, with superheroes and like Wonder Woman and historical people too, like a Hillary Clinton or whatever. So it'll be fun for her to see a female action hero, Doctor Who wise. And Doctor Who's supposed to be like a family-oriented show anyway, so it might be. I know it gets a little rough occasionally, but I think she can handle it. She's handled a lot more. My son probably wouldn't be able to handle it, even though he knows about Doctor Who, also because we play Doctor Who on Lego Dimensions. We can play all 13 of the Doctors right now. No, she is 13, 12, because 10 was Tennant, 11 Smith, 12 is Capaldi. So 13, I'm sorry. Jodie Whittaker is 13th Doctor. So, which is interesting because Dawn's favorite number is 13. So female doctor, and just a little interesting sidebar. So that might be enough to, when they announce when the show, well, obviously the Christmas episode will probably introduce her, and then the new season will probably be next year, hopefully. I don't know. Sometimes they span out a little bit more, but I think they're itching to go, just to sort of jump in there and reset Doctor Who to kind of get back to the glory days of when it first started up again, because a lot of people were saying it was getting a little, stagnant and stuff like that. And once you get the old showrunner out, you get the new one in. You get Moffat out, you get the new one in. Boom, you get a whole new vibe, a whole new sort of feeling to things, and maybe this will be helpful. And plus, a female Doctor Who, everybody's been clamoring for it for years. Be the first one in history. Why not? So that in itself might be enough to get my daughter into watching it with us, because I'm going to be, for damn sure, going to be there, either DVRing if I can't watch it live, or watching it live when I can. But I think probably sometime in later fall, maybe closer to the Christmas episode, like around November, we'll do a Doctor Who roundtable. Hell, we could probably do it in December before the Christmas episode if we want to, unless we want to do it before then. So I'm gonna throw that out there to my Doctor Who friends. I'll throw it out there now. So if anyone's watching the show who's a Doctor Who fan and wants to be involved in a Dylan Knows episode, it'll be it's not gonna be a big one. It's gonna be like 215 or something like that. But still, it'll be fun to be part of history. Yeah, history. Dylan Knows 200 episodes. History. Give me a buzz. at Hollidill, HOLIDILL, or at Dylan Proco, DYLANPROCO. So if you are interested, send me a tweet, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, say, yo, Dill, I want to do Doctor Who. So definitely think about that. What's up next? Death is going to take a lot of time. Trailer's going to take a lot of time. Holidays, not so much time. San Diego, I don't feel like doing anything. I'm going to turn off now. Let's do some interesting stories here. These are stories that I discovered on my various feeds, Twitter, Facebook, which I find interesting, and hopefully you will too. A Canadian man built park stairs, built a bunch of park stairs for $550. The city had told people who were requesting it that it would cost $65,000. But this guy built these stairs for $550. Now, obviously, the government's not too happy about that. Some guy put it upon himself to build the stairs for cheaper to make them look like idiots. And also could be illegal, I suppose, because what if something happens on the steps? Who's liable for it? Is the guy who built them, or is the government because it's on a park property? So there's a lot of if, but the fact is, it's a sign that maybe there's something wrong with government. It's not just, this is from Canada, so it's not America where we're corrupt anyway. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry. That's just, the way things are now. I can say stuff like that, and it's going to be okay because everyone's corrupt in our government right now, and it's okay. Sweet. In Canada, though, I mean, I guess it's not really corruption. It's more along the lines of, well, it's going to cost us to pay people to do it, to get the materials, to close the part. I don't know what they have to do. But $65,000 still seems like a lot of money to build some stairs. I mean, I don't even know how many it was, but if the dude can do it at $550, you should have just hired him. You could have saved money, and helped out the park, But I understand where their anger is because it is. Who's liable? What if someone slips and falls on them? What if it breaks? What if something happens to them? Who's liable? Well, right now, the guy who built them for $550 should be liable for that, not the government, even though it's on government property. So that's a story that might be, keep an eye on that, see if anything else comes of that. But I just found it kind of interesting that does it show, is there corruption in the government, or is it just, maybe a lot of things that are saying cost so much money actually don't cost as much. And maybe if you sat down and didn't think about profiting or whatever, and think about, what you could actually do for that, maybe it could cost less and wouldn't have to tax the taxpayers. Along those same lines, I didn't write this down in my book, but I figured I'll mention it because it's kind of a local interest thing. Elon Musk, who developed the Tesla and is also developing a human trip to Mars, landing on Mars. He has a verbal agreement with the government to build a loop system of transport underground, Baltimore, Washington, Philly, New York, all that. And it's going to be one of these super fast, super trains where you can go from New York City to Washington, D.C. in half an hour. It just seems it's a verbal agreement. So there's no contract. There's no how much it's going to cost, stuff like that. That seems a little odd, though. I mean, it's a great idea. Don't get me wrong. I've always been pro building these speed trains. They seem to work in Tokyo, and you're able to go from one point of the country to the other in a much quicker time span. And it helps the people who live in your state or country or whatever, if they get a better job way, way far away, but they don't want to move there, a good, easy transport back and forth. Just think about what this would open up. If you lived in Washington, D.C., and you just lost your job or whatever, and you found a job in New York City. Now, New York City is expensive as hell. I guess Washington is too, but I think New York City is much more expensive than Washington. If you find a job in New York City, you'd say, okay, I really want this job, and say you go for the interview and they say, yeah, we want you to come in. When can you move or whatever? You're going to have to move from D.C. to New York. So that means packing up your house, selling it, buying a new house or apartment in New York City, which is ungodly expensive, moving your whole family up there. And, it happens, and it's going to happen. It's going to keep happening. Even if this loop train happens, this loop train isn't going to be in effect for about 20 years probably. But the fact of the matter is, if this loop train is actually what they say it is, where it takes you only a half hour to get from Washington to New York, I still don't know how that can be, but that's what they're saying in the story that I read. It'll be a whole lot easier to commute then. So you're like, yeah, we can stay in Washington. We can stay in our house. Kids can stay in the school. We can stay with our friends. Maybe your wife or his wife or her husband has a job that's local in Washington, and you have to go to New York, and then you can go to New York. You work in New York. You just hop on the train. You're back in half an hour. Nothing changes. It's quick. It's fast. I mean, right now it takes an hour, I think, go from Washington to Baltimore. And that we're not that far apart, about 50 miles maybe. So an hour by train is a lot, but you know, it beats driving because the traffic. You'll probably be 2 hours commuting from Washington to Baltimore, maybe an hour and a half. But still, it's a pain in the ass. So again, it's just like, well, it's a verbal agreement, so there's no contract. So then you got to start thinking about, if you're going to do that, you're going to start digging underground. I mean, what are you going to do? Are you going to build a brand new underground? Or are you going to be utilizing the underground we have that our metro and our subway uses? Same thing with the metro. Are we going to combine? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. And then how much is it going to cost? I mean, as I said, there was a guy who built stairs for $550 and the government said $65K. Now, can Elon Musk make it for like $1 billion, or could he cut costs and not cheat anything? He's using his own money, I think. I don't know if anyone's going to help pay it for it. I mean, the government might be, because that's what he's asking for. But is it going to? Could he make it for less? I don't know. So it's an interesting thing. Blackbeard's ship has been confirmed to be sunk off the North Carolina coast. So there's proof that Blackbeard was real, and his ship is buried somewhere off the North Carolina coast. So awesome. It's still a neat, it's an interesting story. I mean, it's interesting in the historical aspect, that Blackbeard was a real person, and his ship is buried in the bottom of the ocean off the coast of North Carolina. It's pretty cool. How to get there, we don't know. Maybe once we start dredging it, and who knows, maybe there's going to be pirate booty on there. Could be. I don't know. On those 200 episodes. So that's pretty interesting. Speaking of water, where's that story? There it is. This is also North Carolina. I will be heading, as I told you earlier in the show, I will be heading to the Outer Banks for my summer vacation this year. We're going to be staying in Duck this year. We've stayed in Corolla, which is way, way far up north. We stayed in Southern Shores, which was really, really nice. It was very, very far south. Then you have Nags Head and Kill Devil Hills and Roanoke are all within that same span. So we're a little bit further away from Nags Head than, say, Southern Shores was. But, it's still a good distance. But apparently, 30 miles off the Nags Head coast, there's a little great white shark just sort of swimming around, just looking around going, no, he's not attacking anybody. But the fact is that there's a great white shark 30 miles off the coast of Nags Head. And 30 miles is really not that much if you think about it. And they know this because I think it's one of the sharks that they might have tagged or has sort of a sense, or they have readings. You see these readings all the time. Say, oh, there's some great white sharks off the coast of Florida or off the coast of Maryland. We've had some off the coast of Maryland before. I think there's even one that went all the way up to Amity, for Jaws. But still, it's interesting that that's out there. So I covered that. Atari. You all remember Atari, right? The first video game console, back in the 80s when video arcade games were the shit. And everyone wanted to go to the arcade and plunk quarters in and play video games. And then all of a sudden Atari's like, why don't we make a home video game system where they can play video games at home and not have to go out to the arcade? Granted, they weren't as good graphic-wise as the games in the arcades, but they weren't that far off. And so Atari was built, and that pretty much jump-started the video game phenomena. So now, after 20, 24, 25 years, whatever, with Sony and ColecoVision and PlayStation and the Wii U and stuff like that, Atari is coming back out with a video game console called the Atari Box. I don't know. I've gotten conflicting reports. One has stated to me that this is like an all-new system with all new video games and stuff like that. And then another one's like, well, no, not so close. Like those, game consoles like the Nintendo and the ColecoVision stuff like now with that comes packed with like 50 games from that era. They're playing the same way with a 10-bit whatever. These might be, the same thing, that these games will be like Pac-Man and basketball and Pong, but from the 1980s, which is when graphics were very cheap and not very good. So I don't know for sure, but the fact is Atari is actually going to be playing a player probably this holiday season. So you keep an eye out for the Atari Box, and if I hear any more news, I'll let you know on this show. The Navy tested the first ever active laser weapon. We are just gotten one step closer to Star Wars and Star Trek now. A laser gun shooting shit out of the air. And last week I talked about China transporting something up to the Earth, above the Earth. So we're getting to be there. So they have a test now where they actually have a laser cannon that will, if you shoot something at us, the laser cannon will blow it up. So I guess pretty cool, I suppose. Oh yeah. That's something I'll wait for. That's a something I want to complain about, but we're not going to do that right now. Oh yeah, here's an interesting film. It's a little film history you may or may not know about. The movie Poltergeist, the original, not the cheap knockoff remake, but the original, 1982, was ostensibly directed by Tobe Hooper. And Steven Spielberg executive produced it. And I think he regular produced it also. I think he might even write the script for that as well. But there's been a rumor since 82, basically, that stated that Tobe Hooper didn't direct Poltergeist. That it's actually Steven Spielberg who directed it. And a lot of the stuff that he brings to his films, because Spielberg has a specific way he shoots things. A lot of people saw that in Poltergeist and thought, now Tobe Hooper directed some other crazy whacked out horror shit, and it's awesome, but this doesn't look like anything like he did. This looks like something Spielberg did. So either Tobe Hooper toned it down for Spielberg, because at that time Spielberg was considered a god. In 82, let's see, what had he done already? Raiders of the Lost Ark, Close Encounters, Jaws, 3 big ones. Yeah, he did 1941 in there too, but 3 big ones: Raiders, Jaws, and Close Encounters. And so he was big stuff. He was big, big stuff going on. He was, and he was starting to build his cred a little bit. So he was becoming one of the more popular. Oh, and E.T. came out in 82 also. I forgot about that. So there's 4 right there. E.T. was the one that really, shot him into the stratosphere. So there's always been rumors that Spielberg actually ghost directed it. Play on words, Poltergeist. Yeah, I know. Stupid, I know. But it makes a point. I'm trying to make a point here. And for the longest time, both Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg and the cast members were like, no. It was Tobe Hooper's version, and Spielberg might have had his say in it as well. Well, we just got confirmation recently from Tobe Hooper himself that said, yeah, Spielberg directed it. But now that's what Tobe says. When they asked the same thing to Steven, he said, well, I might have done a bunch of the directing, but it was a collaboration, and a lot of Tobe's ideas came into play, and he helped me out with stuff. So Spielberg doesn't want to take full credit for it, because I guess he appreciates Tobe Hooper, which is cool. That someone can can do that, can appreciate him. So to keep up the charade so long, to make it seen that Tobe Hooper directed this movie when in actuality he didn't, and Spielberg didn't want his, didn't want to take credit for it for whatever reason. I don't know. I don't know the circumstances or whatever. But the fact that Tobe doesn't seem to be too upset about it. He's like, yeah, I didn't really do much on it. It was collaboration. It was more, I guess maybe he's more like a assistant director maybe. And maybe they would, maybe they should hyphenate it then, because maybe Tobe Hooper did do some stuff in there and influenced it a little bit, and it was a true collaboration, as Spielberg said. So you can do like directed by Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg, add that to the credits. That'd be nice. Maybe give Spielberg credit. Or maybe he does. He's the producer. He can say, I'm going to keep it the way it is because I don't care. I don't care, that people, that people don't know that I directed this, even though I did. So I'm okay with that. And the fact that Tobe Hooper's okay with it too is cool. He doesn't seem to be too upset about it. Now let me just think about something else. And all this is going to be connected eventually to what's coming up in my next segment about San Diego. The Justice League movie still is scheduled to come out in November. I talked to you a couple weeks ago about the sad circumstances where Zack Snyder had to leave the film because his daughter committed suicide, which I'm going to talk about suicide also later on the show. So everything's connected on this 200th episode of Dylan Knows. So he was going to leave. He left the filming of Justice League. To be honest, I thought he was almost done. And I thought, and then he asked Joss Whedon to come on because Joss Whedon is prepping to do Batgirl for DC. He asked Joss Whedon to come on to, I thought, ostensibly to finish the editing and maybe any last minute filming they needed for the script. But from what I heard is Joss Whedon took a look at the script and added, maybe not necessarily, he sort of did, still need some work, boom, puts it down. And he added a bunch of scenes, particularly because he could see which way the wind was blowing with Wonder Woman. And so I think they added more Wonder Woman scenes. And he might have did some reshoots and redirected a few things and changed some stuff up and didn't like how specific things were done. Zack Snyder should probably still be credited with directing this film. But again, it's one of these things that, well, then shouldn't it maybe be a Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon credit, much like there should be a Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg credit on Poltergeist? Maybe they'll do that. I don't know. And the fact of the matter is I'm still boggled my mind that they have still are pushing it to come out in November, which is only July to August, September. It's only 4 months away. And apparently there's been a lot of reshoots and a lot of, yes, anyone can see what you do online. Yes, I want people to watch me online, stupid computer. Wow, you want me to do the show without anybody watching? What are you, an idiot? Happens anyway. Happened in the other previous 199 episodes, Dylan Knows, with the exception of Scott Troutman who's watching. And my second viewer, whoever you are, cheers to you. So, we'll see about that. O.J. Simpson is free on parole. He won't be leaving until October, but he followed the rules. He had 30-year sentence for armed robbery. After 9 years, you can be up for parole. If you keep your nose clean and you do nothing bad or whatever, you have a really good shot of getting parole. So for those people who think that, OJ got differential treatment, preferential treatment because he's OJ and used to be famous for football and some movie stuff before he ostensibly killed his wife. Ostensibly is the word of the day here on Dylan Knows' 200th episode. Legally, there was no reason to hold him anymore. He did 9 years. He was good. He was not obstruction. He was not a problem, and he was, done very well. And so he's still got a few more months to go, obviously, because he's up for parole. But he got parole, but he's not going to be able to leave until October, and then they're going to figure out what they're going to do. He still has to meet with the parole officer. He's moving to Florida apparently, so they got to figure out how they're going to do that and stuff like that. So good on him, I guess. And then the fact of the matter is, if he makes any money off of anything, he's going to probably have to give it to Ron Goldman's family because they won the civil suit against him, and he still hasn't paid that $33 million or whatever it was for that. So anything that he makes, I mean, they can't touch his pension or his SAG stuff for being an actor and his pension for being an NFL player. But anything else he does, writes a book, signs stuff to sell, or sells his signature, at an event for like $100, you get an O.J. Simpson signature, stuff like that. That the Goldmans have the right to say, ours. So here's a sad. No, I'll leave that in with my death stuff. That's just a general comment. We did Poltergeist already. Ghost baby. There's been a recent picture that's been circulating around the internet, where it's a picture. You have those video monitors now for your baby, so you can watch and make sure that they're sleeping and they're not, suffocating, being face down, or something's obstructing their stuff like that. That they're doing okay. And someone, I guess, was playing back some of the stuff, was watching the baby sleep, and they took a freeze frame of a picture. Now there's pictures. There's a baby here, and then right next to the baby looked to be another baby, but it's all kind of faded out and skewed, so they're calling it ghost baby. So they don't exactly know what caused that, or if it really is a ghost or whatever, but the fact is that's kind of creepy. Ghost baby. It's up there with ghost cats. I have a ghost cat. Ghost cat hasn't made an appearance in a while, so maybe she's finally leaving, or she's just hibernating and she'll be back when least expected, or maybe she disappears for a while and then comes back, check on us, and then disappears again. So we'll check on that. Meanwhile, my real cat doesn't want to come downstairs and be on the show. GOP lawmaker asked NASA if there was a long-lost civilization on Mars. It's a fair question. There's, depending on what videos you watch on YouTube or what pictures you look at or whatever, there's some proof that there could have been an alien civilization on Mars. The fact that, the terrain looks similar to ours, or that it appeared to have a big amount of water at one time, and that it could have supported life at one time, goes to show that there might be more to Mars than people expect. But people have always thought for years, all the way back to H.G. Wells' time, even back before, when telescopes were first invented, Galileo and all of them, they were seeing this stuff, and there was belief that, Martians lived in the canals. Funny thing is, I don't see canals anymore, so I don't know what the hell they were seeing, drawing pictures of Mars with canals on them. I don't know where that is, because if you look at pictures of Mars, there's no canals. It's just orange. That's it. So, once you get onto the surface a little bit more, you see that the valleys. That's a different story than the canals. So, I don't know. So that's an interesting question. Interesting that a GOP lawmaker would bring it up. I'm not ragging on GOP this time. It's just it's an interesting question, and of course NASA's going to say, "Yeah, right." Lost civilization. They know too much. Stuff like that. This is a little bit close to home. My wife works for McCormick Spices, and McCormick has just recently acquired Frank's Red Hot sauce. I put that shit on everything, which is their tagline for their commercials. Also, they also bought French's mustard, which apparently, according to Dawn, is the #1 mustard in the world, which is kind of funny because there was a movie called Picture Perfect, came out in 1997 with Jennifer Aniston and Kevin Bacon, where French's was the #2 mustard. And it was a big part of the story because Jennifer Aniston's character was an ad exec who was tasked with making French's mustard be #1. Apparently it worked because they're #1 now, apparently. So, and it's a big part of the storyline too. So it's just kind of interesting that they brought that up. But the fact is, McCormick's a very big company. They make a lot of money. They spent $1 billion+ at acquiring this, and they'll make more than that when they're selling the shit. And what'll happen to my wife? I don't know. More work, or they could set up a whole nother group, or she might not even see anything of that stuff. She does have what do you call that, stock in McCormick, so her stock might go up because of that, which is nice. It'll give us a little bit more of a cushion. Us mean because it's ours, even though she works for them and it's her money, but it's ours. Isn't marriage awesome? Yeah. Dylan knows episode 200. So there's that. I'm jumping through a lot of stuff because I do have a lot of big batches of things I'm going to get into real quick. I just want to make sure that if there's any other loosey-goosey stories around there. Happy birthday, I said to Jen Hallmeyer, Snark Alec, and also to Tammy. Happy birthday to you, too. It's also, I talked about Twin Peaks earlier, it's Laura Palmer's birthday as well, the character played by Cheryl Lee, who was in the first series, in the first two seasons, well, the first season and a half was the main reason who killed Laura Palmer, and then it took a weird turn, which almost destroyed the show, and then the last few episodes sort of redeemed it a little bit. And then, if you've been watching the third season of Twin Peaks on Showtime every Sunday, it was 9 o'clock. They're shifting to 8 o'clock in August. You can see, even though she's only been in the show a couple times, and there's a way to do it. It's hard to explain, and I'll get into it if Mike and I do a story, but all you know is she's a character. Laura Palmer is a character in the show, and she's actually, the infamous episode 8 showed that she could be a very, very important character down the line. So we'll see about that. So happy birthday, Laura Palmer, as well. That leads to birthdays. That leads to holidays. As always, when I do my show, I do Check I Day, which is a Twitter account and has a website which talks about how every day is a holiday, which is, if I ever get money and I make my holiday store, that's going to be the name of my store. Every day is a holiday. And I will use this to celebrate every holiday. So let's find out what the holiday is. Today's holidays, July 22nd, is Hammock Day, Lion's Share Day, National Day of the Cowboy, yippee-ki-yay, mother. National Drowning Prevention Day, which is good. National Panouche Fudge Day. What the hell's a Panouche fudge? Usually they have some pictures here. Let's see what Panouche fudge looks like. There's Panouche fudge. Don't know. Don't describe what it is. Oh well. Panouche fudge. Fudge is good though. I just had a great. My boss was on vacation in South Carolina last week, and earlier this week when he came back, he brought back fudge for everybody at our work, and he had the greatest. Oh my God, salted caramel chocolate fudge. Oh my God, it was so good. Oh my God, I need to get some of that shit. It's not Panouche fudge, but it's salted caramel chocolate freaking fudge. National Rat Catchers Day. Yeah. Wish we had a Mouse Catchers Day because I had some mice in my house this winter, but I think I caught most of them. Pi Approximation Day, which is weird because isn't that 3.14, not 7.22? No, what do I know? And Spoonerism Day. Summer Leisure Day. And that's it for today. Yesterday was Invite an Alien to Live With You Day. Probably in observance of ET probably came out that day. Legal Drinking Age Day was yesterday. 7/21, I guess 21. I guess, I don't know. National Junk Food Day. National Tug of War Tournament Day. Take a Monkey to Lunch Day was yesterday. I missed it. That's how, that was from 2 days ago. I'm not going to do 2 days ago. And then let's take a look and see what tomorrow is going to bring. So where are you? CheckID.com. Tomorrow, I love you. Tomorrow's Auntie's Day. Sweet. Gorgeous Grandma Day. Hot Enough For You Day. International Yada 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 Day. Ooh, National Vanilla Ice Cream Day is tomorrow. Parents' Day. Sweet. Yes. World Jorgens Day. what that is. And that's it. So that's what's going on tomorrow. So Parents' Day tomorrow. Yeah, Sunday the 23rd. Yeah, take that, kids. Yeah. All right. So there's that. We got that going on. One anniversary I did miss, holiday type of thing, is on the 20th of July, which is Thursday. It was the 48th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. So 48 years ago, 2 days ago, we landed on the moon. And we went back for a couple years, and then we stopped. Now we're hoping to go back. Now, the biggest rumor now out there is that they found some ancient alien civilizations, not on Mars. GOP should ask if there's any on the moon. They've been found some evidence that there might be some shit on the moon, including a tank. There's pictures of what looks like a tank on the moon. What the frig, man? Look it up. I'm not making this up. Go on, just write in tank on the moon. They'll probably show you the picture eventually. Conspiracy, possibly, or maybe it's real. I don't know. I was going to do a review of this movie, but I'm at my almost 1 hour mark, and I only have an hour left to cover all the shit I still have left. So I'm just going to do this real quick. Down the line, I need to do a review of this movie because it is, I'd say if I had to list my favorite movie of all time, or at least my top 10, this movie would be either number one or be up there really, really high. And it's The Dish. It's a film based on a true story. It's an Australian film. Came out in 1999, which was the 30th anniversary of the moon landing. Stars Sam Neill from Jurassic Park fame and Patrick Warburton, who was Puddy on Seinfeld and also was the original Tick, not the new Tick. It's coming out on Netflix soon, or it's out already. I don't know. And a bunch of famous Australian actors as well. And it basically is a story of the group of radio telescope workers in Australia who helped with the NASA moon mission, because in order to, keep track of, Neil Armstrong and Buzz talking on the ship and helping them out, there's a problem, or just keeping tabs on them and make sure that they're okay, you need to have radio telescopes on them at all times so you can keep in contact with them. And Australia, Parks, to be more specific, Parks Australia, has the biggest satellite at that time, the biggest satellite dish in the southern hemisphere. And there's one up in Goldstone, California, which was the big one in the United States. And the two of them worked in cohesion to keep track of the of Apollo 11, because remember, there's like a 12-hour difference in time, and there's an international date line also, which means right now in Australia, it's probably Monday morning, early Monday morning, or late Sunday night. It might be late Sunday night. If it's 12 hours, if it's 12 hours, it'd be early Sunday morning. Regardless, it could be longer. It could be 16 hours. I don't know the exact time difference. 12 hours is Japan, I think. But there's a definitive time difference, and it's also definitive day difference. The international date line is down there. So when it's nighttime in the northern hemisphere, Goldstone, California's radio telescope can focus on it because it's daytime down in Australia. But once it's nighttime in Australia and it's daytime up in the northern hemisphere, you need to have a southern hemisphere satellite dish who can keep track of things. So that's what that is. So it's kind of cool. But it's just basically the adventures of this group of misfits who run the satellite dish, and the town, which is a small little quirky town like a Sicily, Alaska, Twin Peaks without the violence and horror type of town, with unique individuals, and there's no violence, there's no sex, and there's like maybe 2 bad words in the whole film. And that's it. It's a very fun, family-friendly, often hilarious movie. And I always tend to watch it. I missed it this year, but I always tend to watch it around this time because it's about the Apollo 11 mission. So I think that's all my small stuff. Excuse me. I'll incrementally move up further. I've got some other small stuff. Arby's. I went to Arby's today. Customer service also is nothing else. I would Arby's say I like Arby's. I don't know if you guys even know what Arby's is or how widespread it is, but it's fast food, but it's not your typical fast food. It's more roast beef and chicken and ham and stuff like that. They got bacon, lots of stuff. So they always have lots of stuff that you can order, and they have the perfectly seasoned curly fries. They've got really good cookies and milkshakes, and you get free refills on your drinks. And I go to the soda machine. I mix up, like I had a red Mountain Dew, fruit punch, lemonade, regular Mountain Dew, Sierra Mist mix going on, which actually tasted pretty good. I had the French dip, which is fantastic, which is yay! Scott Troutman had Arby's yesterday. Yep, love the curly fries. Scott, they're not quite the same, but you can get the curly fries at the grocery store. It's the Arby's brand. You can also get Red Robin's steak fries as well, and they're seasoned the same way as them. Obviously, they're not going to be as good as if you go get them straight, but it's a good approximation of them. But the French dip I had is roast beef and melted cheese, and you put in the au jus juice, which is basically seasoned water. And it's delicious. And I just realized, I went back, about 6 months ago, or whatever, they released two versions of the French dip. One is the regular version, one is the half-pound version, which is much bigger. I've been getting the half-pound the last couple times because it is so good. Now, my usual go-to there is chicken cordon bleu sandwich, chicken, ham, Swiss, with a mayo and on a sesame seed bun, I think. And it's really good too. But the au jus is just totally, taken over as being my favorite Arby's thing. But always get the curly fries. And they have some now. They have a pizza slider, which is like pepperoni and mozzarella, and I think there's some tomato sauce on it in a slider format. That might be one interesting to try out sometime. So, and they have a partnership with Ghirardelli Chocolate, which is fantastic chocolate. My honeymoon, our hotel room looked onto Ghirardelli Square, so that was kind of cool. So good for Arby's. Plus, I also have to give a shout out to, this is a local store, local restaurant, so you guys probably don't have it. It's called Bill Bateman's. It's your typical Green Turtle, which is also local. Never mind. It's like a pub place where you have, pub fare burgers and chicken wings and sandwiches and crab cakes here in Maryland, and you have appetizers and soda and beer and stuff like that. And it's a bar, sports bar type of thing. So you walk in, it's a sports bar. It's got like 20 TVs. It's got video games. It's got one of those CD player things where you put money in, you play music if you want. And then you go into the back, it's a restaurant as well. They've got kids menu, stuff like that. And they do all kinds of events. Our Bill Bateman's up the street, which is in the same shopping center as my comic book store, which is awesome. Every Saturday night, they do pub and paint, where people come in and paint a picture. Like the artist has a picture already set, and you go and you sit down and they'll teach you how to paint it, and you can get something to eat or drink alcohol. It's like a fun little date night thing, or girls night out, or even boys night out if you want to just paint. It's really cool. And then they also have live bands. So they had a band was setting up when we went in today. But my daughter, she's 10 turning 11. She just been at camp all week, sleepaway camp all week from Sunday to Friday. So we got her back yesterday. She got a call from a friend of hers today. You want to have a sleepover? And she's like, hell yeah. So now my daughter's missing again. She's only spent one night at the house in the last 6 days, and now she's off again. So she's a 10, 11-year-old, I guess. I know. But still funny, though. But she wasn't with us, and they know us pretty much. We're basically regulars. We try to go at least once a week to Bill Bateman's because it's worth it. They got a great crab pretzel, which is a soft pretzel with crab dip on it and melted cheddar cheese. It's delicious. And they have really good wings too, and they've got some okay burgers and some nice wraps and stuff like that. And an awesome meatball sandwich. It's basically like a French bread, piece of French bread, hollowed out and meatballs stuffed in with the cheese and the sauce, and you basically cut it up that way and eat the bread, and it's really, really good. It's really rich if you're not careful. So this was the first time we had Alejandro. He was our waiter, and he was great because Noah was by himself, and Noah is 7 going on 8. He'll be 8 August 25th, and the waiter Alejandro just kept coming over and talking to him, and he wanted lemonade, and so once he finished, it's free refills. Once he finishes lemonade, he was like, "You ever had strawberry lemonade?" And Noah was like, "No, I haven't." He's like, "Would you like to try some? I make it myself." And Noah was like, "Okay, fine." So we went in and came out with a special strawberry lemonade for Noah, and he drank it and he really liked it. So that was really cool of him to do that. And then he pulled out the magic tricks for Noah. Easy stuff with coins and stuff like that. But Noah not knowing the tricks of the trade, stuff like that was. And this guy was so cool. He was very attentive. He had like 3 other tables, but he was still checking up on us and getting us our drinks and make sure everything was okay, and got the bill to us in reasonable amount of time, and then he took it and paid, and we paid for it and stuff like that. So he was just really, really great, and a really good experience with him. And customer service really does, you might not believe it, but customer service, if you get good customer service, it makes a world of difference. Now, if you're going to be a dick about stuff, you're not going to get good customer service. But you're nice enough, and you're not a dick about stuff, you'll get your good customer service. I know. I worked in customer service. I know what it's like to be on the other side. To get the stuff getting in your face and people yelling and screaming at you and making you feel like you've done crap and you're a terrible person. But then you also get the people who treat you really well. So we gave him an extra big tip because he didn't have to stop and do magic tricks for Noah and give him a special drink, and it was really nice of him. He was very attentive. So kudos to you guys on that. All right. So, oh yeah, there's one more story. I forgot to see it. Disney princesses want to have a team-up movie, just like the Avengers, which, to be honest, I think would be kind of cool, as long as it's animated, and they're already going to be together in Wreck-It Ralph 2. But you get Ariel and Belle and Jasmine and Mulan and Rapunzel and Snow White and Cinderella and the girl from the one about the frog. I forget, the Princess and the Frog. Another good one. And you could even probably go so far as to do Anna and Elsa and Moana and stuff like that. Get them all together, and they're going to be in Wreck-It Ralph 2. They want to have like a team up movie as well, and you get the original voices to do them and have them team up and have a really good story. That could be really good. Strong female bonding type of movie. Could probably do extraordinary. So I hope they figure out something and maybe make it work. It'd be kind of cool. I'm not going to do this right now. I'll save that for later because I'm running out of time. I'm going to bitch about something real quick, and then we'll get into some other deep stuff. There are these clubs out there now. Every place seems to have some sort of club, like the Chick-fil-A club or the Stubbs Hub, not Stubbs Hub, but the Stubbs club at the AMC movie theater, stuff like that. And you get special perks for being a member. A good example is for Stubbs. You get free popcorn, and you get free refills, and you get discounted tickets prices on certain days and stuff like that. But the new thing now, and it's not just Stubbs, but it also I realized it with Chick-fil-A when I went to Chick-fil-A today, and I noticed this as well. They have an app out there now which you can get, which is a basically kind of a club app type of thing. They have one of those now, and they now have special lines for the people who are members of these clubs. Now, look, I understand. You join the club, and I guess I don't think you have to pay anything to get into these clubs, from what I've seen. But they want to treat you like royalty. But it's fine if you want to give them free refills and discounted price. That's fine. It's cool. I understand that. But I get it, but I don't like it, is giving them their own lines now. I guess it's an added incentive for you to become a member of their Chick-fil-A club or this Stubbs club. And I guess what they're trying to do is, I guess the more members they have, the better, I don't know, experience. I don't know how it works, experiences or specific points, or the CEOs like, you got to have this many, people, stuff like that. Let's give them everything under the sun we can to get, get our numbers up. They get their own lines. Now, you go into AMC movie theater right now, you've got the long line that leads to the ticket booth. So it's like, okay, everybody's waiting in line like that. Then there's a line right here for the Stubbs stuff. And you have to, let's say you're next in line to get your ticket. You're waiting for the next available person. And you're next in line to get your movie tickets. And then someone with a Stubbs card comes up. They get to go ahead of you. I get it. I don't like it. Well, then why don't you become a member? I don't want to become a member because I don't want to be a dick like that. I'll use it. If I was a member, I'd use it to get the free refills and the discounted prices, stuff like that. But I wouldn't cut in front of somebody. I try not to be a dick, and I guess it's not really a dick move because, it's one of the perks of being a member. I just don't like it. And then they have that thing now with Chick-fil-A now. I just know they have their own Chick-fil-A line too. So what if it's lunchtime and you got a big, massive line of people waiting to get their lunch? Maybe they're on their lunch hour and they only got a small amount of time. And then, oh here comes somebody with the Chick-fil-A app. Oh, they're next. But I've been waiting for 10 minutes. F you. This guy has just got here as a Chick-fil-A app person. Maybe you should become a member. No, it's not fair. It sucks. I don't like that aspect of it. Is it because, well then, why don't you become a member, Dylan? Because I don't want to become a member. I don't go to Chick-fil-A enough. I don't go to the movies enough to take advantage of these deals. But most importantly, I don't want to look like a dick. I don't want to cut in front of somebody and then have them razzing on me or yelling at me for saying, hey, what do you do? Or doing stuff. I would feel bad about doing it because that's just the way I am. Now, I know there's probably people out there who aren't so bad about it, who aren't so upset about it, but I just had to bitch about that. All right, that may have to wait. I'm not going to do that. This may have to wait. I'll probably do that a little later because it is important and it adds to the 200th episode of Dylan Knows. One more thing. Bitches the Cat died. Bitches the Cat, for those who don't know, is a Twitter handle, which is still active now, even though Bitches is dead. It was a white kitty whose presence was, pictures were always with her paws crossed. And the woman who runs it was, very snarky and stuff like that. But Bitches is most famous for being a cat that was one of the first Twitter accounts to be blocked by Donald Trump. Because Bitches the Cat said some things about him. And he couldn't handle it, and he blocked a cat Twitter account. Which, despite the few the few anti-Trump tweets that the woman who owns Bitches and is the tweeter did, it's mostly a cat Twitter. Pictures of her cats, discussing her cats, what they're doing to their cats, and occasionally every once in a while a little side remark about that. He blocked a cat Twitter account. Because Bitches has passed on, gone up to kitty heaven, and there's like 2 or 3 other kitties that are part of the Bitches the Cat family, so they'll probably be following them along. So go ahead and check them out. Bitches the Cat is very cool. All right, so what do we got here? I did holidays already. We got here. We've got trailers. We've got Pokemon. We've got Snark Alex stuff. We've got Death. Let's talk about Pokemon because that's a pretty big thing. We'll get to the heavier Death stuff in a little bit, but this is kind of interesting. A couple weeks ago, if you've been watching the show, I know Scott Troutman has. And yeah, if that's Patrick Smith, who's my second viewer, he's been watching too. But if it's not him, he's probably doing his late night movie thing, which is cool, which is really cool, by the way. He's like, oh yeah, fucks, I'm not Scott Troutman, I'm leaving right now. So no, it's the second viewer's back. So 2 weeks ago, I talked about Pokemon Go. It was the 1-year anniversary of Pokemon Go and how Dawn and I are original Pokemon Go G's gangsters. Dawn joined a couple days after it came out. I joined about a week or so after it came out, and it's a big, I'm not going to reiterate what I talked about back then, but the short form is it's a big family thing. Both our kids like to go walking out with us, walking around, because that's what it is. It's a game where you actually have to get up off your ass and walk around. Now, you can use your car to do things if you want to, but you're not going to get the benefits if you walk. But as I said, I already discussed them 2 episodes ago. If you haven't seen that episode, it's 2 episodes back, 198. Remember, this is episode 200, so go back to 198 and watch that. It's called Spider-Man versus Pokemon. This one's episode 200, Bicentennial Man. Anyway, so it's the one. This month is the 1-year anniversary. They're celebrating it all month long. They have an Ash Hat Pikachu. They have all kinds of things going on. Now, today was their crown jewel, was the Pokemon Go Fest. It was an event, their first annual gathering in Chicago, in the big park there. They were going to have, they only allowed so many people in. They paid $25 ticket to go here, and it's be an all-day event where they would have Pokestops that have special prizes that no other Pokestops have. The only ones that have this prizes are at that Pokemon Go Fest. They would also release a lot more of the rare Pokemons that you can't find anywhere. Were supposed to be released in that field as well, and you're supposed to do a bunch of contests that would lead to the introduction of the legendary birds, the most powerful Pokemon in the Pokemon universe, that are, so far up to this point, have not been in the game, but today they were going to put them into the game. However, and the other thing is also the Pokemon Go Fest was supposed to be an event that everybody who plays Pokemon Go could take advantage of. So in order to unlock the legendaries, you had to have help from everybody around the world who was Pokemon Go player to help catch stuff and do stuff like that. But there were server issues, there were connectivity issues, and there was a lot of angry people who paid lots of money to come to this place. And when they couldn't get the benefits for doing it, they booed, they threw water bottles, and they're going all over social media and saying Pokemon Go is a stupid ass thing, it's fixed, rip Pokemon Go, blah, blah, blah. Couldn't you figure out a way to do this better? It was a failure, blah, 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 which, to be true, it is. It was a shit show. But Niantic, who is the creator of the game, or one of the programmers or whatever of the game, they are doing right by the customer. They are going to refund the $25 event because they were able to fix it a little bit. So the events are still going on now. So if you didn't get so frustrated and left, if you would have hung out around a little bit, you'd still be able to do all this stuff. But they're going to refund your $25 entry fee. They're going to be giving you 100 Poke Coins, which are really good in the game. You can buy a lot of cool stuff. They're going to give everybody that. And then as an added bonus, they are going to give you, those who were at the Pokemon Go Fest, they're going to give you for free the first legendary. So you won't have to catch it. You will automatically have it in your Pokédex, and you can show it off to everybody and stuff like that. They were supposed to reveal it, and you were supposed to try to catch it. In this case, because of the event, they decided to give the people who were there at the event and were inconvenienced will find the legendary in their Pokédex. So I think they did a good job. Do that, and they're going to release the legendaries out to the world tonight to tomorrow. Within the next 48 hours, they'll be doing legendary raids, so we'll even be able to catch legendaries, which is really cool. But this is my issue with Pokemon Go Fest. Besides all that, because it's Chicago, which is fine, Chicago is one of the biggest cities in the country, and they have a nice big Central Park-esque type of thing, and it's a good location for it. And all I heard about it was from various news stories from a Twitter, or rather Facebook account called Otaku Cart. And occasionally maybe something from Niantic every once in a while. But Tuku Kart was the one who was doing all the research and the legwork and discovering all this stuff. So we got the general idea, the basis, but it didn't tell us exactly when these things were going to be started, when we needed to go out and catch stuff, what we needed to do, and stuff like that. So if I was Niantic, this is what I would have done to make Pokemon Go Fest a success and not the shit show that it was. First and foremost, you knew you had server issues earlier when it first started because of the amount of people who were playing the game. A lot of people were coming back to the game because they want to catch a legendary now. And a lot of people were at this park for Pokemon Go Fest. So what you should have done is you should have made sure that your servers were up to snuff. Added more servers if you needed to, added specific ones for that area, you know, mobile one, but however a server works, just enough power and connectivity and server stuff that you wouldn't have these issues. That'd be one of the first things I would do. One of the other ones would be I would focus on making sure that everybody in the world knows what they have to do, because that was going to be part of the fun, was to make sure that everyone in the world was playing today to try to help out the people who are at ground zero of the event, try to unlock the legendaries that everybody wants. Now, what they should have done is they should have put more news out there. They should have had, you know, you should have come direct to your account. It should be on your Pokemon Go game. It should say, this is what time you need to be outside catching Pokemon in order to do this. You know, give it specifics. You know, even if people are like, hey, I got this, just put it out there, because there are people, for every person who says, yeah, I know, you don't need to give all this stuff. I don't want that all in my Pokemon Go thing. For every person who says that, there are people like, what do I have to do? When do I do this? What's going on? What's going on? What's going to happen? It would be nice to say, this is what time your event starts. Start catching them at this point to this point. And this is what you need to do. You need to catch this many, and you need to do this. If you do that, you know, just give you a whole bunch of stuff like that. That's what I would do to make Pokemon Go Fest a success. Is more of a, if you want it to be a worldwide event, you need to have better discussions with everybody and let everybody know what's going on, what time their event started, when they needed to go out there, what they had to do. You had to give them specifics, because look, people are smart and people remember stuff, but there's also people who I'm not going to say aren't smart, but they don't remember things. They got a lot of stuff on their head. They need to have that. I'm one of those persons, I need to write down stuff. As I said, Whitaker. I wrote her first name, Jamie Whitaker. Not Jamie Whitaker. I wrote it down already. The woman who's taking over for Doctor Who. God, I wrote it down so I wouldn't have to do this. Jodie Whitaker. Jodie. See, I have to write this down to remember all these people's names. So I would be one of these type of people like, just give me something on the Pokemon Go site all the time that says, this is what time you need to go out, or even give us little push messages. Ding, 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 it's 11 o'clock. You must go out now. Catch Pokemon. Do it now. Help us. Unlock the legendaries, you know, do stuff like that. So that was kind of disaster. That's why I would do that. But this is what I would also do for Pokemon Go itself, the game itself. I was thinking about this earlier today. We had a little bit of rain today. And I think it would be kind of cool if they would be able to add weather onto the game as well. Now, if you look at the game, it's basically, let's see if I can open mine up. It's basically like Google Maps almost, you know. So you get a general map. You don't get everything about your area, but you get the general description here. This road goes here. These are where the houses are. This stuff like that. So you know where things are. So it gives you general what the place looks like. And it's nighttime. See, I gotta wait for it to right here to build in a little bit. So, all right, see that? This is my house right now. I am in my house right now. This is 795. That is the big highway that runs through my backyard. Oh, good. We still have the gyms, except one looks like it was taken down. These are the gyms in the distance that I go to. These are all the houses around my neighborhood. These is my road right here. So you get kind of cool stuff like that. So, and it's nighttime. Look at that. It's really cool. It is nighttime. So it's nighttime here. So it's really, really cool. Now, what I would have liked is I would have liked if they added weather to it. So like today it was raining. So you would have to go Pokemon Go hunting in the rain, or when it was snowing, you'd have to go Pokemon Go in the snow, you know, or cloudy or sunny or windy or, you know, stuff like that. I think it'd be really cool. Yeah, I know it would be a lot more stuff you'd have to put on the game and stuff like that, but it'd be kind of cool. Also, I wish they had like a local group of Niantic people who would do this for all the cities, where you could do specific things like, you know, there's a graveyard down the street. Why don't we do more ghost types at graveyards? That's kind of cool, you know. If it's lightning out, let's get some more. You don't have to go outside in the rain, but it'd still be kind of cool to see. You'd be in your car or whatever. It'd be kind of cool to do Pokemon Go hunting in different types of weather. You know, if it's snowing, why don't you bring some more ice types out? Or if it's raining, you know, some more water types out, you know, and just, you don't have to spawn everything or whatever, but, you know, spawn those specific things. Because right now they have specific ones they spawn all the time. From Generation 1, they've got Rattata and Weedle and what's the other big one? Rattata, Weedle, and Pidgey are the 3 big ones that they, every time they spawn. I mean, every time you hear a spawn, it's going to be one of those guys, and you get a million of those. And then in Gen 2, it was Sentret and Spinnerack and Natu. Those are the 3 that are out there all the time. So they're cool when they first start, but now that's all you see a lot of the time is when stuff's spawning. It's just these ones you got a million of, and you don't want, you want some of the different ones. I wish they would use more their types for like different weather and stuff like that, or ghosts in graveyards, or dark types and you know, like owls and stuff like that. Owl Pokemon will come out at night. You know, nocturnal creatures would only be out at night, and daytime, like the ghosts, would only be out at night. You know, and during the day only specifically. You know, so I kind of like Sunkern is a good example. Let him come out in the sun and during the day, and then at night he doesn't show up because it's nighttime. He's sleeping. That's what I think would be kind of cool. Now, that being said, something really funny about Pokemon Go happened to me yesterday. So I showed you real quick those 3 gyms right nearby us. We can see from sitting on our couch, we can click on that and we can see, usually those are the gyms that we put our Pokemon in. So sitting in our sofa, we can, you know, put our we can check our gym, see how they're doing, stuff like that. Well, when the opposing teams, the red or the yellow team, they take over that gym, you see your Pokemon comes back. There's a little notification, your Pokemon fought well, but he's been returned to you. You realize that you're no longer in control of the gym. So the other night, yesterday, actually it was yesterday, the yellow team, who has, once blue has taken over, I'm on the blue team right now. As you saw, blue has got the 3 gyms right now under our control. Yellow has come along and taken them over a lot recently, and then blue comes back and takes them. So it's been a big tug of war between blue and yellow. So last night I'm sitting upstairs, and we had a Pokemon at our cemetery gym, and we got the word, your Pokemon's returned to you, he fought well, whatever. So then I checked the gym. It was yellow. There was only 1 Pokemon in it. I was like, I think I can take him. Then I noticed that they were attacking the other gym right next to the cemetery. I was like, maybe once they finish that, I'll take that over too. So I drove past them, and I parked, and I fought at the 1 gym at the cemetery to take out the 1 guy there. Now, the person who put it there happened to be fighting the gym right down the road a little bit, saw me, and was like trying to come back and fight me, or not literally fight me, but come back and try to stop me, you know, give his Pokemon more berries or whatever, or wanted to talk to me or whatever. I don't know. So I took down their gym and I added somebody. You get points, stuff like that. And so I turned around, drove past him. He wanted me to pull to the side. And he wanted to talk to me. I was like, I'm going to leave. So bye-bye. So I left. And by the time I got back home, he had taken it over again. And then he finished up the other one and taken over the one right down the street. So like, okay, let me wait a half an hour, and I'll go back over there and I'll fight him again. So I waited half an hour. I checked to see if only 1 person in each gym. I drove back over, fought and took over the 1 gym, cemetery, and went to the other gym at the Buffalo Soldiers place, and was getting ready to take that over when the guy pulls up beside me and says, "I can't let you do that." This guy's handle is Honky Kong, and he is now my rival because he was the guy I was fighting with back and forth yesterday. So I got to talk to him a little bit, and that's what's fun about Pokemon Go. It's a social game, so you're able to sit there and interact. And he was a nice enough guy, and he had his wife or girlfriend with him or whatever, so it was kind of cool. And I had Dawn's phone, so we actually added 2 to each of the gyms. And he thought, "Hey, you can't do that." I was like, "Yeah, you can." And I drove away. I said, "You can take him out if you want. I don't care. I'm done for the night," because by now it was like 11:30. I was like, "I'm done." So I drove back home and discovered when I woke up this morning that he didn't take over the gym. My guys were still there. I was like, "Okay, that's interesting." He decided not to do it. So eventually someone took over the gyms. My Pokemon got kicked back to me. And then when I came back from work today, because I did work again today, which sucked ass, but that's besides the point, which is Saturday. For those who aren't watching this live, it's Saturday when I filmed this. I had to work on fucking Saturday again. And I didn't like it. So when I left to go to work this morning, Blue was still in control. My guys were still there. Then when I was at work, someone took it over, and my Pokemon returned to me. And then when I came back, Blue had taken it over again. So I was like, okay, it's back and forth again. So we went out to dinner today after we dropped off my daughter at her friend's house for her sleepover. And we decided there was a raid we wanted to do. So we did a raid. And then after that, we took over a gym. And so, okay, let's drive on. And it was still nice. The rain had just come through, and it dropped the temperature from a disgusting 95 degrees down to 72. And it was still humid, but it was just, the air seemed a little bit nicer and crisper. It's still going to be oppressive the next couple of days. It's supposed to be really nice starting Tuesday for the next 10 days. But until then, it's going to be so this evening we had a reprieve, but it's going to come right back tonight into tomorrow. So it's summertime, and I hate summer. Again, refer back to my other old episodes of Dylan Knows. I talked about I hate summer 199, 198, maybe 197. This is episode 200 of Dylan Knows. I think that's 113th mention of the number 200. I don't know. I haven't been keeping track. So we decided that we're going to take over another gym nearby, which is at our church, which is a little bit further away. It's off of the beam path, so it's not part of the 3 that are near our house. We had to go a little bit further to get to that. So this gym was run by Yellow. I was like, okay. So they had 6 people. I was like, yeah, we got nothing else. They're powered down. We can take them out. So Dawn and Noah and I, we worked together to take down the gym. So we get to one of the final member of the gym, which is usually the first one that was put in that gym. And so I'm getting ready, because what they do is they have a little boxing thing. When you beat one of them, it gives you a second if you want to refresh your guys and move your fighters around, and then you come back and you can continue the battle. So I did that, and so I was going to take on the last guy, and they do Ursaring versus Poliwrath. And says Poliwrath, Holodil, and then how many fights he's won. Ursaring was run by Honky Kong. So I took out his Ursaring. So he's my rival. So this is day 2 of our rivalry. So it's a fun rivalry, and it's interesting to have a rival. So now real quick, speaking about Pokemon, I've got 3 minutes and I'll hit something else. You might have seen a cryptic tweet I wrote last weekend that says, "Am writing." Now, I've always dreamt of being a writer. I've always wanted to be a writer. I got a million ideas. I've got a bunch of different books at all different starting points, or a couple chapters written here and there. I've also written a number of screenplays, stuff like that, but I've never really completed. I've completed a couple of screenplays, but never really any books. And I got all these ideas at the wazoo. It's just a matter of writing them down. Well, I had this idea for a book I wanted to write, and it took me a while to get the ideas together, but finally I decided to sit down because I was inspired last weekend, and I wrote 9 pages of the book I'm doing right now. Haven't written since, but I'm itching to get back once I get inspired again. I haven't been inspired because I've been working my ass off at work, and also been trying to get myself psyched up for episode 200 of Dylan Knows. Ding. So it's connected to what I just talked about. It's a Pokemon story, because my kids, they're into Pokemon right now. I like Pokemon Go, and if you look at the characters, it's based on an anime, it's based on a manga, so it's comic related and cartoon related, and I love that kind of stuff as well. And there's all kinds of cool action figures that the kids have now that we can play with, and they're all kinds of cool, neat little things. So I've come up with an idea to do like a film noir version of Pokemon set in the world of the Pokemon. And I have a character who's like a private investigator who works with a bunch of Pokemon, solving investigations, stuff like that. So I've got a great storyline, the story that I'm right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to tell you anything about it because I don't want to steal my idea, but I'm writing a film noir Pokemon story right now. So 9 pages down, which is 1 chapter, and I started writing chapter 2 right now. I know where it's going. I have ideas for a bunch of other books, so hopefully I just get them done. And the problem with them is because it is Pokemon, I'd have to get their okay to produce it if I ever want to produce it. So, which means I probably won't. An hour and a half in, and I chugged my last bit of raspberry, so I'm going to be parched now for the next half hour. All right, so that's my Pokemon stuff. We'll talk about sad stuff, and then maybe end on some cool stuff, and then we'll get out of here and look forward to episode 201 of Dylan Knows. This is still episode 200 of Dylan Knows. Ding. All right. Death. Death happens all the time. I've done numerous episodes about death. I did an in memoriam last December because of everybody who died in 2017. That's all I did. The episode is just me immortalizing, I guess, the dead. Just talking about them and feeling stuff like that. It's one of my better episodes. I actually kind of like it. It's in the 180s, maybe 190. I could probably dig it up. I'm not going to, though. As I said, go to YouTube, write my name in the search engine, Dylan Lang, DYLAN, I should be the first or second person to show up in the search engine because I have the most videos, because I'm still doing videos. This is my 200th video of Dylan Knows. Ding. And you'll see my icon is me in a black shirt with my thumbs up. Go to my playlist and find it on there. But it's basically, I did spent the whole episode just talking about everyone who died, and not just the big guys who died last year, but some of the smaller ones that were local and stuff like that. So this year hadn't been too bad so far. We lost Miguel Ferrer, who's one of my favorites. I spent a half an episode talking about him earlier. Again, look at my playlist, find that episode. And it sort of hasn't been too bad, but this past week has been a little rough. First, actually, these two jumped right on top of each other. George Romero died earlier this week. I think after last week's show was on Sunday. My show was on Saturday. On Sunday, George Romero died, who was director of Night of the Living Dead and brought zombies back to prominence and stuff like that. And it's been a lot of film people's favorite directors. And then that same day, Martin Landau died. Now, Martin Landau, is one of those actors who's been around forever, did TV, popular TV shows, has been in a lot of movies. I know him more from his Tim Burton work. I loved his Bela Lugosi and Ed Wood, and he even has a small appearance in Sleepy Hollow. And he's been in a bunch of other films and stuff like that, but I always remember him as Bela Lugosi. He won the Oscar rightfully for that role. So Martin Landau died. So, okay. So those two. And then we got our third one. The third one was a musician. And his name is Chester Bennington. And he is the lead singer of Linkin Park, which is a band I like a number of their songs, but I'm not like a huge Linkin Park fan, but I like some of their stuff. I have about 3 or 4 that I really like a lot. And so I listen to them. He committed suicide, which is always a sad event. Oh shoot, I forgot my sheet. Oh well, I can look it up here. I'll come back to Chester. So he passed away. I'll come back to him in a second. And then today, while I was prepping for my show today, found out that John Hurd died. Not John Hurt, John Hurd. He is best known for his role as Kevin McAllister's dad in the Home Alone movies. But he's also a character actor who, if you've seen him, you would recognize him in a second. He was in Big. He was in The Pelican Brief. I actually had a bunch of his movies already listed on here. Let me just get his. He was in After Hours, which is a great Martin Scorsese film, by the way. If you haven't seen it yet, it's well worth it. He had some problems in his personal life, which I'll cover in a little bit. But some of the big movies that he was in, you might remember him from, or have heard of the movies: Cat People, Chud, After Hours, Trip to Bountiful, Malargo Beanfield War, The Seventh Sign, Big, Betrayed, Beaches, Blown Away, End of Innocence, Home Alone, Awakenings, Rambling Rose, Deceived, Radio Flyer, Gladiator, not the Russell Crowe one, but the Cuba Gooding Jr. one, In the Line of Fire, Pelican Brief, Before and After, My Fellow Americans, 187, Executive Power, Snake Eyes, Pollock, White Chicks. And that was like the last of the really. He did a voice of Ace Morgan in Justice League: The New Frontier, which is a great Darwin Cook show. And then the rest of the stuff, he as I said, he's had a rough Runner is the most more recent one that I know, but other than that, he just hasn't really done a lot in that. So in the movie, in television, he was in such shows as Kate and Alley, Tales from the Dark Side, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, Miami Vice, The Equalizer. He was in the movie Dead Ahead, the Exxon Valdez disaster, Law and Order, Outer Limits, The Client, the show based on the movie with Tommy Lee Jones. I think he played Tommy Lee Jones' character, actually. The Sopranos, Law and Order Criminal Intent, Touched by an Angel, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. So he's played a bunch of different roles, different characters, though. CSI Miami, Jack and Bobby, Numbers, Prison Break, he had a recurring role. Battlestar Galactica, the new version, he was in that as well. Entourage, he did some stuff in. Southland, stuff like that. So he did a bunch of Person of Interest, NCIS Los Angeles, Lizzie Borden Chronicles, The New MacGyver, APB, and stuff like that. However, an interesting story, he also was in the original Sharknado. Now, Sharknado is going to be coming out with the 5th one in 2 weeks, I think. So that'll be out. But the original, which started the whole thing, the casting agent for it is our friend Gerald Webb. And Gerald Webb, when he found out he died, that John Hurt died, he gave his condolences to the family and stuff like that, and said a little fact that most people don't know about John Hurt is that he was the first person we ever cast in the movie. So there you go. That's kind of interesting. Now, if you don't remember him, his name was George. He was friends with Finn, the main character, but he died early on. I honestly don't remember George, but whatever. So John Hurt passed away this week too. But I just wanted to touch on this real quick. Chester Bennington's suicide. And when people commit suicide, it brings out the worst in a lot of people. Yes, in Catholic, and I always hate, I'm not a Catholic defender. I am a Catholic, but I'm not a Catholic defender. But in there, the big, strong, right-wing Catholics, whatever you want to believe in, they believe that if you commit suicide, that you go straight to hell. Okay? In Beetlejuice, if you commit suicide, you work as a office worker for the rest of your life. Civil service, which is a funny joke in that movie. But suicide isn't funny. But it's also a serious problem. And a lot of people will throw out that it's being, what's the proper phrase? That killing yourself is the worst way to go because you're sort of, I can't describe it. My mind isn't working right now. Maybe it doesn't want to talk about this. But it's not something a lot of people can control. Now, I think Chester Bennington suffered from depression. Robin Williams, who committed suicide about a couple years ago. It hasn't been a year. It's been a few years, I think, since he committed suicide. But his anniversary of his death is around this week. He committed suicide also due to his depression as well. Depression is a real disease. And it's not something to just push aside. It's like, well, just cheer up and get over it. It's not that easy. It's an actual chemical imbalance that you have no control over. Look it up. I mean, it's not just because, everyone gets depressed, not because your favorite sports team lost, or the girl or guy you gave your heart to broke it in half, or you didn't win the lottery, or you hate your job, or you hate your life, or whatever. That's depression, but it's not depression. Depression is an actual disease that affects a number of people in this country. As I said, it's a chemical imbalance which causes people to be unhappy all the time, be sad, not have energy, and just they can't get out of it. No matter what you try, no matter what you do, you just can't get out of it. It's a chemical imbalance. Now, the depression examples I gave earlier, you can get out of them pretty easily. Your team wins, you get laid, you win a scratch off, you get yourself a candy bar, you realize that, oh shit, I don't have a girlfriend or boyfriend now. I can go out and I can screw whatever I want now. You have freedom, you can watch your favorite movies, stuff like that, and you get over that depression. This depression, this chemical imbalance, is not that easily taken care of. And it's a real thing. And sometimes it's just so hard that they feel like there is no recourse except to escape the pain is to kill yourself. And suicide's hard to talk about, and I don't think I'm going to talk about that much because, as I said, I can't find the proper words for it. I have come, as I said, I've been the first part depressed, and I've never, I don't think, even contemplated committing suicide because it affects a lot of people. It affects, if you're doing this not because of a chemical imbalance in you, but because your girlfriend broke up with you, or you hate your job and you hate your life, committing suicide is not the way out. Okay, and neither is it the way out if you have the chemical imbalance in you, but it's a lot harder to escape. Suicide's never easy to talk about, and I've luckily have never had to deal with anybody who committed suicide, any family members. I don't know of anybody personally who's committed suicide. So I guess I've been kind of sheltered in that aspect of it. There are people out there. Will Fish is another one who he posts phone numbers if you're feeling depressed or suicidal to call and just talk to somebody and let your feelings fly. These people are specially trained to help you out. Give them a call. What do you got to lose? It's tough. I get it. Life is tough. There have been times where, my life has been extraordinarily tough. My life is extraordinarily tough right now. I had to work on Saturday. I'm stressed out all the time. But you know what? I'm not going to commit suicide. For those people, who commit suicide just because, think about your family, If you suffer from the chemical balance of depression, I understand, but there are ways you can try to get help, and it's not going to be an easy fix. It's going to take some time, but hopefully you get over it. But I can't really talk much about it because I don't suffer from depression. I don't suffer from knowing somebody who did this. But to me, it just seems like, if I ever committed suicide, how would it affect my family? I wouldn't get to see my kids grow up. I'd be leaving my wife, who I love very, very much. I'd leave my family, and I wouldn't be able to experience life. I wouldn't be able to find out what happens to Spider-Man or Superman, or what happens in Avengers Infinity War or whatever. I want to find that stuff out. So even when things get really tough, and it's been tough this month, I mean, getting pressure from my bosses to get our projects done and stuff like that, and get other stuff done. It grates on me, and what it causes me headaches, it causes me not to sleep very well, it causes me to have a bad appetite, not eat anything, not feel good, feel tired all the time. But you just fight through it because I know that there is a silver lining at the end of it. And then we get to the point where there's also people, younger people, who have been bullied so much and bullied into committing suicide. And that's an even worse story because I was bullied. That's no big reveal. I've been talking about this on my show forever. I've been bullied. And, when you're younger, you don't grasp reality as much. So you feel, and same thing also, if you have your first love when you're in high school or middle school, whatever, and then you break up, you feel like you have no other recourse but to leave because, you're in so much pain right now and you're being picked on and bullied and people don't like you. And, the girl that you love more than anything doesn't like you anymore. Yeah, going through puberty and in your teenage years, that's really tough. You just got to persevere and fight through it because, as they said before, it does get better. But for a lot of people, they can't see that silver lining. And we need to have people who can help you find that silver lining because there is one. You just have to be strong. You just got to gird your loins. It's going to be tough for a few years. But eventually, it gets better. Just think about what you're going to miss out on. Being able to legally drink alcohol, have sex with somebody you love, drive in a car, go on all kinds of trips, watch really cool movies, read interesting books and stories, see interesting astronomical events like the solar eclipse coming up next month. I know when you're a teenager, your whole world is your social life. But remember, there are people like me. I didn't have a huge social life. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had some friends, but I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was bullied. But here I am. I'm 43. No, 44. Holy shit. I'm 44 years old. I've done 200 episodes of my show. I'm married with 2 kids. I have a job, which is very stressful, but yeah, you persevere. You got to be tough. Call somebody. Talk to somebody. Don't bottle up inside. Now, I know it might be hard to do this, but sometimes you got to find somebody who might be able just to listen to you. Someone who can see the forest for the trees, or whatever that phraseology is. It gets better. It does. There was a movie that came out in the 80s called Better Off Dead, which sort of makes fun of suicide, but it's hard to describe. It's not making fun of it, but it's sort of, it helps in saying this guy's life is terrible and he's trying to commit suicide, but something keeps stopping him. So it's a comedy, so that's just the undertone of it that you get from numerous watchings of it. When you first see it, you're laughing at all the goofy stuff that happens, and you're cheering when things get better. And that's the thing. This movie, despite the fact that it's a lot about suicide, it also has that undercurrent of it gets better. You fight through it. And also, he tried to commit suicide a number of times, and guess what? Something stopped it. Something stopped him from committing suicide. Now, it sounds like a deep and heavy movie. It really isn't. It's a light, fluffy comedy. Worth the watch. Better Off Dead, John Cusack. Definitely worth it. So, think twice out there, all you social media people who jumped on Chester Bennington's family or Robin Williams's family after they committed suicide, and you behind your faceless Avi, where you can say whatever you want on Twitter and Facebook, saying, haha, your husband's burning in hell right now, you stupid bitch. Or, Robin Williams, you should have gotten over it, lighten up or whatever. It's not that easy, guys. Your faceless avatars make it easy for you to insult people. Hell, our wonderful president uses it as that type of bullying tool all the time because he's a fucking moron. And these assholes think that they can attack family members who are mourning the loss of a loved one, trying to figure out, why would you do something like that? Was it something we did? Could we have helped any? Could we have done things differently? And you're sitting there rubbing their face in it, and that's not cool. That's a dick move. It needs to stop. That's all I got to say about that. Got about 10 minutes left. I might go a little bit over. It's my 200th episode. I can do whatever the fuck I want. Yeah. Let's talk about San Diego real quick. Actually, let's spin off to kind of bad stuff that leads to good stuff. Our Snark Alec family was attacked this week on Twitter. Speaking of faceless avatars, Matt Foster, I've had on the show before over in England, made a comment, and these asshole trolls kept bullying him about it, and eventually they made parody accounts of it and made it be really stupid. Matt let us know what happened. Larissa, my former co-host, one of my former co-hosts, she defended Matt because Matt's one of the nicest guys in the world. Defended Matt. They made parody accounts of her as well. They let us know, and we fought back by blocking them and reporting them, and hopefully that's it for them. We haven't heard from them in a while, but that's just more cyberbullying. It's stupid and it's petty, and it was stressful. I think it was Sunday or Monday where we had to deal with that. But we came together as a Snark Alec family, as we did about a month or so ago when our beloved Amy died. So we just keep getting stronger. The lovely Heather, who I haven't had on the show before, but I'd love to have on the show before, she was going to go out to San Diego. She had a chance to go to San Diego Comic-Con with our fellow Snark Alex, Consui Khan, and Myrtalata. And they were going to go out halfway through the week because San Diego actually technically doesn't start till Thursday night with the preview night. But Heather decided she wanted to go out early. And Heather's been watching the show before. She's not watching now because she's out in San Diego right now. Heather went out for extended vacation. She was going to spend a couple days exploring San Diego. Never been there before, maybe, or just wants to explore it. And someone hacked her credit card, and the hotel that she originally booked told her she had to pay more than which was a dick move on the hotel's part. Surcharge and stuff like that. And then she found out that her card was hacked, and then she didn't know what to do. She was on the beach, didn't know anybody. Consui Khan and Myrtalata weren't going to be out there till Wednesday at the earliest, and she was out there by herself, lonely, not knowing what to do. And she persevered. A little help from her daughter and like that. And then once Consui Khan and Myrtalata showed up, it became wonderful for them, and she's been having a great time. So bad week for the Snark Alex, but at least there's silver lining for Heather. Plus, we got rid of the trolls and the bullies, and we showed them that if they decide to attack one of us, they attack all of us, and we will be concentrated and we'll take them out. That leads to San Diego. San Diego had a bunch of trailers get released this week. I'm going to talk about them just real quick. First one was the Defenders trailer, which is the new Netflix Marvel series. We finally get to see the team working together and see how it looks good. It looks like what you expect from a superhero team-up show. And they play off each other really well, and there's some good comedic beats and some nice action sequences, and Sigourney Weaver's the bad guy. So you get a little bit taste of all that stuff, so that's pretty cool. And you get a little bit more deeper into the story, including the return of Elektra and stuff like that. Now, I haven't read this book, been meaning to, but I think I started, but I never got around to it. But it's one of those books that, would be right up my alley because it's a lot of 80s nostalgia in it. Steven Spielberg, speaking of which, Spielberg, I talked about him earlier in the show, is directing his next movie coming out next year, is Ready Player One, based on the book by Ernest Cline, about a futuristic society where people live in a virtual world. And it's almost like a Willy Wonka, where the guy who created the virtual world, who is a gazillionaire, has died, and he's released 3 Easter eggs that if you can find them and solve the clues inside to go to find the next one after that, if you solve the final question, you will inherit his gazillion-dollar industry, and you'll be set for life. So the story's about, a group of people who go out looking for it. So they showed the first footage from the movie. It didn't really give you a lot of flavor for it. If you'd never seen the movie before, you get the idea that it's a virtual world and all stuff, but you don't really get a lot of the 80s nostalgia stuff just yet. But there's a lot of stuff going on. There's actually a sequence where there's like a Freddy Krueger-esque character showing up, but it's a lot of action, a lot of special effects. So it could be an extraordinary film coming out next year. So that's one to keep an eye out for. The Walking Dead Season 8 trailer. Speaking of action, looks action-packed. That's basically the best word for it. All you get is lots of shots of people running, fighting, shooting, conniving, threatening, doing all kinds of stuff. But the biggest story about that is after it ends. So you have everything, and then it's like, Walking Dead Season 8. And it fades to black. You're like, okay, it's over. But no, it isn't. All of a sudden, a big bright white light comes up. You get a view of a cane handle, and then a sort of fuzzy look at some flowers on a table side. And then you get a shot of Rick lying in a white pillow with a gray beard looking up at the ceiling like he's been in the hospital or dreaming everything. So we'll have to see what that has to do with when the new season starts, October 22nd, which they revealed was the date that Walking Dead will be coming back. Speaking of shows coming back, Stranger Things Season 2 revealed their trailer, and oh my God, that looks freaking awesome. If you haven't seen it already, run, don't walk to see Stranger Things Season 2. If you haven't seen Stranger Things Season 1, stop what you're doing, except watch after you watch the show, my 200th episode. After you do that, you go and you can watch the 8 episodes of Stranger Things if you haven't yet. The trailer for Stranger Things 2 showed up, and man, is it awesome. Again, sort of 80s nostalgia, takes place in 1985, around Halloween. You've got Ghostbusters, thriller, creepy monsters, lots of cool stuff. Shots of the new cast, the monster, just the excitement, the cool stuff that's going on. It looks so rad. It looks so awesome. I can't wait to see it. I didn't know they were doing a Wonder Woman creator biopic, but they're doing a biopic of the creator of Wonder Woman. And I didn't know his history of being in a open marriage and having multiple wives, but that's basically what I saw in the trailer. So that might be interesting to check out. On my DC, on my Dylan Knows comic shows with MJ Con, we've been trashing the DC Universe movies, rightfully so. I think except for Wonder Woman, we haven't really talked about Wonder Woman yet, but MJ loved it, and I haven't seen it yet. But from what I've seen, it looks really, really good, and it's doing really well. But I talked about the Justice League story already with Zack Snyder leaving and Joss Whedon taking over. Well, they revealed the Justice League trailer today, and it's got me a little bit more excited for it. I really wasn't excited for it originally when I first saw the first trailer of it, but now this new one, obviously Wonder Woman is more front and center because her movie is a huge success. And, Flash still irks me as being a Peter Parker type, even though he really isn't. And you don't really get much else. You get a little bit of Aquaman, has some cool stuff happen. You get a little Batman, not a lot of that. You get a lot of Alfred, which is interesting. And, you get a lot of Wonder Woman, which is worth it. But did it make me reconsider the movie? Maybe a little bit, but I'm not going to take off work to go see that. I'll see it when I see it. If I don't see the movie theater, I don't see the movie theater. It's not the end of the world. But, it looks better than I thought it was going to. So I'll give them props for that. And finally, this was kind of a surprise. I saw they revealed also the first trailer for Star Trek Discovery, which is the new Star Trek show. It's going to be, from what I thought, was going to be on CBS Online. It was going to be their new streaming service. You're only going to be able to see it on that. The trailer I saw said a Netflix series. What? Unless I was sleeping on a rock, I haven't read a story about it being put out by Netflix. Also, if you decide not to get the CBS streaming system, you'll be able to see it on Netflix. So I watched the trailer. It looks really dark and looks really exciting, looks really good, got some good cast members in it. Looks very interesting, looks different than we expected from a Star Trek show. A lot darker. But the two biggest things were Netflix and weekly, which to me leads me to believe that Netflix is going to show it on their system if you don't have CBS Online for the streaming system. But it's not going to be a big dump like their usual shows are. It's going to be weekly. They're going to show they're going to release a new episode every week, which is kind of a different thing for Netflix to do. Now I'm going to do more research on this because I did not even think Netflix had anything to do with this, but apparently it does now. And if that's the case, I'm going to be able to watch it, because I was going to be like, I'm not going to watch this because I'm not going to fork over money to get the CBS streaming system just to see this show, because I don't want to. Granted, I spent money to get Showtime so I can watch Twin Peaks, but that's their story. It's Twin Peaks, man. This is Star Trek, which I like Star Trek, but I'm not as huge a Star Trek fan as I am of Twin Peaks. Something on my eyebrow. So there's that. One last thing before I go. It's right there. I've been on for 2 hours now. Just make sure I've caught everything. Yeah, I talked about that already. My show, this is the last thing I'm going to talk about, and then I'm going to hit the road. My show is kind of a dying breed. I remember when I started the show 4 years ago, and my actual almost 4 years, my 4-year anniversary is going to be episode 208, which is going to be in September. When I started the show like 4 years ago, YouTube was the place to be, and Google Plus was the place to do these hangouts, and you'd see tons of these hangouts all over the place. I mean, Snarkalic Radio, we had that one going on. The comic, the comic hangout with the 3 awesome women who I've had each of them on my show before: Alison Berry, Karen Derola, and Jessica. They no longer do their show anymore either. But there used to be so many more YouTube shows out there. I mean, there's still YouTube shows out there, because I go to my YouTube app, I see all these YouTube shows are still there, but not as many as there used to be. So this show is dying breed. But you know what? I like doing this show. I like being seen. I'm not an egotist, but I prefer this. Plus, I don't have the technical know-how on how to do a podcast. That's the way everybody seems to be going. Podcast this and podcast that. Hell, OJ, who I talked about earlier, he says one of the things he wants to do maybe when he gets out is to have a podcast. Why not? Everybody else has got one. Why not? But it's an easy way to make money. It's an easy way to get your name back out there again. And to be honest, I probably would get maybe some money for if I release this as a podcast, or I might get at least more viewers than the 2 I have now. And occasionally I've had a third one pop in every once in a while. Not sure if that's one person or if it's different people. I don't know. But I'm a dying breed, and podcasting seems to be the way to go. However, I do not have the technical know-how to do podcasting. I probably guess if I could probably study it, figure out how to do it. But to be honest, I don't want to. I like doing this show. And that's another reason why I do this show. Why I've done 200 episodes of this show is because I'm doing it for myself. And for Scott Troutman, because he's the only guy who really watched it. And Mr. and Mrs. Second Viewer, who's watched it too, thank you again for staying for the whole show. I do appreciate it. And for all those who do actually watch it on reruns, I mean, I've had I average about 16 viewers now, but I have some good episodes. Like I did 117 for our Amy Figaro show. I've done 150 for another show. I did 50 some for another show, but then I've done 5 for one and 10 for another, and 16 to 20 seems to be the average for me. And yeah, I'd like to get that up there, but I want to thank those 16 to 25 people who are watching. And for those who watch live, I really wish more people would watch live. So I appreciate you two who are watching, and the third one who's popped in and out. Thank you for watching live. I'm not closing up shop anytime soon. My next milestone is in 8 episodes, where I'll have my 4-year anniversary. Maybe by then I'll have Felicia Day and Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. and the cast of Stranger Things. And cast of Twin Peaks too. Nah, it's not going to happen. We're going to keep doing this. What I can tell you, though, is this. August, I will be taking a vacation, so it'll be one weekend where there will be no episode. I'll be getting my co-hosts back. MJ and Jerry will be coming back in August. We'll be doing new episodes of that. As I said, I'll probably be talking to Mike Polinsky in the future. We'll be doing a couple more episodes of that. I want to do my Doctor Who show later on in the fall with as many people who want to do Doctor Who. I'm gonna put out there again. If you're a Doctor Who fan and you want to talk on the show, just at Holodill at Dylan Proco. Say Dylan Proco. Dylan, I want to do Doctor Who with you and talk to you about Doctor Who. I like that. And Scott Troutman, if you ever want to do the show live with me, we'll figure something out. And everybody else who's ever shown interest in this show, let me know. Again, at Holodill at Dylan Proco. If you want to do a show with me, I'd absolutely love to have you on. It just seems like nobody wants to do my show. I've asked people before, and they're like, I don't think so. Is it maybe because you'll be seen? If I did a podcast, would it be a different story? Possible. Or maybe you just don't care. Maybe you don't want to be seen. Maybe you don't want to do it. Maybe you just like to listen to it. I don't know. So, what's coming up? I mentioned it earlier with when I was talking about John Hurd. Sharknado 5 will be coming out on August 7th, I guess, which is the first day I'll be back that I'll be on vacation. But leading up to that, the week before that, Sci-Fi will be releasing their original shark movies. Now, that's how the Snark House got together. They used to release original sci-fi movies on Saturday nights. It seemed like every Saturday was a new original movie, and that's what got us together to sit there and snark and make fun of them. And that's how we came together. But now it appears that Sci-Fi likes to confine them to Snark Week. Sometimes at Christmas time, they do a bunch of them, or they do a Christmas one around Halloween. They do another set as well. And they're all like horror ones. Now, we've never really done after shows for those. We've always done the shark ones. This will be our 3rd year doing Sharknado Week, which we call Snark Week. Kelly Toll and I have been working on some stuff. We each have, there's different shows we do. There's still, as I said, even though it might be a dying breed, there's still shows. There's the Snooze, which I'm a part of. We haven't done a new episode in a little while, but we should be soon. My show, Dylan Knows. Kelly's got Nurture and Support and a Squat Cobbler. And we also might have Jean's coming back on. She hasn't done Bring Out Your Geek in a while. So we have 5 shows we can do and 6 movies that are coming out in about a week and a half. Actually, it'll be 2 weeks from tonight. It's not next Saturday. It's the Saturday after that is when Snark Week starts, or Sharknado Week, whatever you want to call it. And what we do is we'll watch the movie, we'll tweet it like we always do for Snark Alex, make our comments, and then afterwards, one of these shows will do one of the movies. I am right now penciled in to do a show on Monday, which is the Mississippi River Sharks. So if that's the case, that'll be my next episode. Oh, wait a second. It's next Saturday. I'm sorry. Next Saturday is when Sharknado Week starts. Sorry about that. So yeah, next week's episode, as I said before, I'll be doing the review of, as of now, Mississippi River Sharks. I will probably also maybe do another episode probably on Friday night then, if Saturday's the beginning of our Sharknado Week next week. I'll do another show Friday. That gives me 2 shows in one weekend. That way I can still stay on target and be able to take off a week for vacation. We'll be doing a snooze episode that next Thursday then, I guess. Not this Thursday, next Thursday. I know Nurture and Support's doing the Trailer Park Sharks on Wednesday, and I think Thursday is like Poison Shark, something like that, where he's like shoots out atomic goo and stuff like that. And then there's Empire of the Sharks is on that Saturday. Sharknado's that Sunday. And I forget what Five-Headed Shark Attack starts off next week, next Saturday. Not this. It's 1 week from tonight, right? Yeah, 1 week from tonight. Five-Headed Shark Attack is on Sci-Fi. So the Snark Alex, go out there and start snarking again. Get ready for it. Get your snarky back. We haven't done it in about a year. Let's get back into it. I don't know who's going to do the show that night. And then Sunday is a show. I don't know a movie. I don't know who's going to do that movie. Monday is Mississippi River Shark, which is the one I'm going to do for Dylan Knows. Wednesday is Trailer Park Sharks, which is what Nurture Sport's going to do. Thursday, as of now, ostensibly, it's going to be the snooze, and we're going to talk about like Poison Shark, whatever. I got to figure out what that one is. Then we have to figure out who's going to do Saturday's Empire of the Sharks, and then Sunday Sharknado 5. So we've got some planning still doing. Just keep an eye on our feeds. We'll let you know what's going on. But we've got a week to work it out. So just keep an eye on that. All right, I've gone over 10 minutes. I am tired. Doing 200 episodes really wears you out. So my final total is, I said the number 200, ding, 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 200 times. Not really, because I haven't really been paying attention, so I don't know. So again, thank you to Scott Troutman, who I know is watching, and to the other viewer who has not revealed themselves, thank you for watching. And the third viewer who's popped in and out, thank you for watching as well. And for all you guys who hopefully will be watching on the replay, I will be probably pushing this all weekend and maybe a little bit early next week to get and watch this show. 200 episodes, man. I'm proud of myself. And I want to thank all the people who've participated in my shows, because I've had people on a lot of people on my shows before. It's just sort of died off as things have progressed over the last 4 years. As I said, we'll get my co-host back in about a month, and actually less than that, a couple weeks. And we'll be doing Snark Week is coming up. My vacation's coming up, and best of all, after August, guess what? Fall's coming, and that's when my life gets better. So, for Scott Troutman out there, Mr. Viewer number 2, Mr. Viewer number 3, and everybody who will be watching this on replay, thank you for supporting Dylan Knows. That includes all you podcasters out there who I've started to retweet your podcast, and you've been retweeting my show. So thank you for that. To your viewers, I don't think it's helped me, but I still appreciate it, and I want you to keep doing it, because I'm going to keep doing it to your guys. Because that's what we do. We got to stick together. I'm a dying breed. I'll be doing my YouTube show until it's no longer cool. And then I'll be hipster. I was doing YouTube shows before it was cool. And after it was cool. All right. So on that note, I'm going to bed. Should I go to bed? Yes, I should. I just want to prep one more thing real quick. Just as a good... oh, no, this is the wrong one. As a good finale. Here we go. Oh, turn it down. Ah! This has been episode 200 of Dylan Knows. Stay tuned for next week's 201 episode, and 202 will probably be Mississippi River Sharks. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and hope to see you again in episode 250 and then 300. Bye, guys. Enjoy your rest of your weekend.